Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So we're going to be going over the Arcane role system in Fragged Empire and just kind of explaining my design philosophy behind this and walking through the different arcane powers, how to read them. So there's a lot of narrative stuff in this section of the rule. But before we jump into that, I'll do the quick in the life of Wade and what I've been up to. So recently, I watched the Dune movie, and it's amazing. I really like it. I find myself in a little interesting spot at the moment because pop culture movies is definitely going down the way of Marvel. Okay, which I kind of think about like a roller coaster ride. They're very well crafted, they're fun, they're engaging, but there's no real sense of drama. None of the heroes are ever in risk. And they're fine, they're cool. If you like them, all good. But I've really enjoyed these latest ones from this director. Like the latest Blade Runner movie, I think was better than the original. I really like Dune. I love Frank Herbert's work. I'm really into the Dune books. I just think he just has crafted such an interesting world, an interesting narrative that is so much deeper and layered than what people can expect. And I really liked his work on Arrival. Anyway, I'm liking these slower paced, more ambient sort of science fiction stuff that does some interesting things, and yeah, they're cool. You should definitely go and watch it. And in another little slice of what I did on the weekend, so I went to a protest. Yay, political protest. This is not going to be divisive. So anyway, I'm happy to explain a little bit about this. So the first thing is, I don't like to talk about politics to my fragged audience because I'm an RPG designer, and you should not be coming to me for any of your takes on politics or cultural stuff. I especially try not to talk about stuff from other countries. But this is Australia. This is my state. My city's going through some stuff at the moment. So I'm very much pro vaccines. In case anyone's wondering, I think they're good. The science is good on those. But I have deep concerns about the othering of a slice of people from Australia, and I have deep concerns about government transparency and accountability. It's pretty rotten. There's no other way to do it. So yeah. Anyway, so hopefully I kind of think I have a non-controversial political take on that, but yeah. Cool. Okay, let's jump into this and actually talk about what you guys came here for. Frag stuff. Okay, so in arcane roles really started to come into the fragged rules with later iterations after the first edition of Fragged Empire. And I found myself refining them a lot more, especially I think at Eternum, because in Eternum every PC was able to make arcane roles of some sort. Everyone was a wizard, so to speak. And then in Fragged Kingdom, we tied a lot more with the different types of sources of power, like alchemic power, druidic wilding power, the Tardai, which is more like the Fahren type powers. And then even in Fragged Seas, we have the different sorts of dark gods, which wasn't so much as common in that one because you had to specifically go kind of like a cultist or a mage or something like that to draw on that. And that was more like, there's always a downside sort of thing. So what are arcane roles and how do they fit into a game? So generally, when a player is confronted with a situation, GM describes a scenario, players describe their approach to interact with, resolve, or with that situation. They will describe their approach. They say whether they've got any tools, what sort of skill roll they're going to perform, and then they roll it, and then the GM sort of tells them the effects of this. What arcane rolls are is they think about them as adding additional narrative power to each skill, expanding what can be done with each skill. So, for example, psychology is generally about reading NPCs' intentions, okay? But if you are part of, like, you worship the All-Being and you have access to all power, psychology can also be used to calm people's mind, detect horrific evil, or protect someone's mind, or take some of their pain onto yourself, okay? So it expands what's possible. And the general situation is they describe what they're doing. So the requirements in this is you have to take a trait to give you access to the arcane power usually. And then the difficulty of the roll is increased typically by 2. And if you fail, then there's additional consequences to that. So think about that as giving additional narrative options to the GM as well. So if you fail a psychology roll, generally you might misunderstand how somebody's motives, or and that's not really that bad. But if you're starting to like mess with people's minds with your psychic powers and the psychology skill, then all of a sudden you might take some of them into you or imprint some of you into them. You have some weird sort of arcane effects could happen. Okay, so it's just sort of like yeah, I really like arcane rolls. I think they add just a lot more flavor and fun and wildness to a game. And they're a great way for a player if you're wanting to be more distinctive, or you really enjoy the narrative side of a game, you're a creative thinker, these are a good option. Okay, so let's walk through the different arcane power types. We will talk about their spheres of effect, and how tools and methods can be used there, and some example powers. Okay, so let's start off with the all power. So this is derived from the All-Being, which is the god that raised the remnant from the dead. So you're going to find a lot of remnant worship the All-Being, and generally those who are practitioners of all power usage are monks. They're just called all monks for a creative use of the word. Just slap all in the front of things and you're there. But it's not tied just to remnant, okay? Others can definitely join in. They can be converts into that faith. That faith in no way is species specific. The remnant are not seen as the chosen ones or anything like that. It just happens to be the one that's the All-Being first revealed himself to, okay? And the lore even talks about the idea of some Nephilim emissaries who have converted. There's even a whole Twifar symphony. It's a tiny symphony. I believe they're called the Seraphim, who have converted over to the All Power as well. Worship of the All-Being, sorry. So All-Being and its power is called the All Power. Okay, so its spheres of effect are body, defense, healing, wisdom. Okay? You're not noticing any attacking or aggression with that. Okay? So really think about this as just like so if you're wanting to perform something, you need to tie into one of those spheres. Okay? And the example uses are all listed down here. You can see those in the back of the book. I've got more of those. I'll show you those later on. And I'm going to read through some of these tools and methods. Okay? The use of the All Power rarely requires specific tools, though it may require specific actions that will further the spiritual growth of the user and their relationship with the All-Being. So think about the All-Beings as like, it's like you're praying for power. Okay, you're praying for divine intervention, sort of thing. This is not like D&D where it's just like gods give you the power and then you do whatever you want with it. You've got to have a relationship with the All Being. So if you tried to use the All Power in a way that was against the All Being's will, it simply would not work. Okay, all uses of the All Power require a request for aid from the All Being, often short and silent. While some of the most powerful and largest All Power effects require prayerful contemplation, often in solitude. This is prayer and meditation. Next one, All Link. By linking their minds and souls together, a large group of All Power users may perform incredibly powerful effects. This is a bunch of All Power monks or all monks get together, form a big circle, and start like meditating or praying together. Sort of this, The last one here is an object. So this is the Simbe Mabwe. So these extremely rare and often mundane looking sacred objects are imbued with great power and can perform miraculous arcane effects, often of a specific nature. So tied in with the remnant lore, and you have these Simbe Mabwes, which are these sort of blessed objects left behind by the all embodiment, who was like the prophet of the All Being, who wrote their holy books. And these objects would shield the Gutas, which is the remnant towns, from the echoes, which are the ghosts. And so you have one of these at the center of a town, creating like a protective area. But in recent times, some of the Simbe Mabwes have stopped working, and so the echoes are coming in and starting to drive them off the planet. Thus, the remnant are sort of migrating all to Haven. So these are pretty rare, and you're probably looking at something more like a GM might insert one into a campaign for a specific situation. You know, it's like the ghosts are coming, you got to go find the blessed holy teacup and return it to like this special plinth or something like that, where there's a bunch of holy guardians which shield it or stuff like that. You know, like think of that sort of thing. The what would you call it? The MacGuffin. That's it. The MacGuffin in a quest. Cool. Okay. So just some example effects here. I'm just going to read through some of these. So it's like calming mind, enhancing your speech, seeking wisdom. You could catch bullets. So think about it as like martial art type stuff. Resisting elements, holding your breath, enhanced speed or jump. You got float. So think the crouching tiger, hidden dragon sort of stuff. But then you also mixed in with that force walls, and this is like creating shields and things like that. Curing poison, healing, even resurrecting. So you got that sort of cleric type, healy type stuff, and then guide path, seek wisdom, and things like that. So it's like praying for requests of aid or advice and stuff like that. Okay, so that's the sort of thing. So if you want to go someone with all power, you think either someone who's creating shields, someone who's like a super martial artist, or like a healy person. Okay, and you can sort of be an all-rounder if you want, or you can just focus on one of those. Okay, let's have a look here at ancestral memory. So I'm going to try and be a little bit quicker now. So this is specifically for Kaltorans. Okay, so this is the Kaltorans who are able to access their genetic memories from their ancestors, bring them forward. This is the spheres of effects is just ancestral experiences. So you're drawing upon knowledge or insights about stuff or place or things or how stuff works. But you've got to be careful not to draw upon bad memories, such as when the Kaltorans were amongst the dark tribes and they're going all a little bit feral and cannibalistic and stuff like that. Now, there is also a trait available that allows Nephilim emissaries and Zao to also gain access to this arcane power type. So this arcane power is not as strong as the other ones, since it's really just to do with knowledge, but it's something that all Kaldorans get by default. Okay, but it can be fun. Like, it's kind of it's a good way for GMs to insert extra knowledge or lore into their game. Okay, so anti-grav. So this one is technologically bound. So this is to do with artificial gravity stuff. So if you, for example, got some grav gauntlets or something like that, and you want to throw things around at different, use telekinetic powers. So its spheres of effect is just moving physical objects. And yeah, again, this one's fairly straightforward in what it can do, but the game implications are very large because you're allowing people to physically affect things from a distance, which can be as simple as sort of moving switches or grabbing objects, but it could be like pickpocketing people from a distance, or using your skill at range. You're in a fight, but you need to hack a computer over the other side of the room, so you're using little gravity things to like hit the buttons and stuff like that. But then it can also be grabbing people, tackling, using melee at distance, or it could be stabilizing gravity fields or reducing fall damage and stuff like that as well. Okay, so this one requires you to actually have specific tools to be able to use this this arcane power. Okay, the next one here is Fahren. So this one is specifically just for the Twifar, and its spheres of effect are energy manipulation and creation and otherworldly insights. So this is effectively, Fahren are energy beings, and they can manipulate energy in interesting ways, so draining objects, powering objects, starting campfires, things like that, but also otherworldly insights. And this is when you start getting really weird stuff, when you're sort of looking at the Fahren to get advice. Now, an important thing about the Fahren is that they are designed in the lore to be really otherworldly. And I, as a game creator, have given some ideas about what the Fahren truly are and the sorts of powers that they could have. And the idea is that I want GMs to make the Fahren a bit unique for their own game. Okay? And also, Fahren are not all the same. So you could have a different Fahren to this other Fahren and different powers and a different nature and stuff like that. And so GMs are encouraged to sort of reveal the nature of a Twyfar's Fahren throughout a campaign if that Twifar sort of pursues that. If they take an interest within their Fahren and they spend time meditating or doing research or exploring things or listening to it, they might discover its different sorts of powers and effects and nature and personality. Yeah. Okay, so that one's also very strongly relationship basis. So if a Twifar is not particularly nice to its Fahren, or it has a good relationship, that will affect how they go working together. Cool. Okay, the next one is Psionic. So this is the other really big and broad and powerful arcane power. So its spheres of effect is ley dust, mind, and time. Specifically think mind and time are the two big ones, okay? So psionics is kind of sometimes seen as the space magic power, and different games and books and movies have just described the powers of psionics in so many different ways of what they could have. But in Fragged, specifically, you're thinking about mind and time. And so think about this in terms of like reading people's thoughts, altering people's memories. Time is also a big one, so you might be able to sort of glimpse the future. And if you're really, really good, you might be able to even rewind time. And ley dust, in terms of sort of think about that in terms of seeing ley dust and being able to alter its flow. So ley dust is used to power psionics and jump drives. Let's say if you're in a campaign where the ley dust is, there's no ley dust around. So you're thinking, down, that means the Psionic can't use any of its powers. But what they could do is detect ley dust. So therefore, they swap from being this sort of mindy time person to being more like a detector for the ley dust. They can find it, put it into their jump drive, and they can get away. Okay. Okay, so next one is Vivimancy. So this is a new arcane power for Fragged Empire 2. So, I need to see if I can find a picture. Give me 1 second. Here it is. Okay. Cool. So this here is just from the book. And that there is a vivo parasite, which is kind of this goop. And they were created by the Exion during the Great War, right at the end of the Great War, and they attach themselves to a being, and they're basically this sludge that can go around and create itself into shape itself into objects and things like that. And think about it like a pet, okay, but it's an intelligent pet, and it's really, really important, the friendship between a person and their vivo parasite, that relationship. So the vivo's color will change depending on how it's what its mood is and how well it's treated. A healthy vivo will be this nice green color, and vivos love to play pranks. They love jokes and stirring people up, and so a Vivimancer can sort of direct their vivo around to do things for them. So that at its simplest, so its spheres of effects are reshaping the vivo's body into useful shapes, temporarily modifying an organic structure, and healing. So think about this like it can turn itself into an object. It can be used to alter things, so think like biotech sort of stuff, and healing people. So this is the so let's just read out some example sort of powers that it got to give you an idea of the sort of thing you can do. So you could use it to deliver or fetch an object, anticipate it, you could do like a stretch attack, so like a ranged melee attack. You could use it to sort of hunt or locate people. You could change the vivo's color. You could create useful objects, reinforce a collapsing building, seal a hole. You could do complex healing or even create an organic limb. Okay. Heal flesh wounds, stop bleeding, things like that. So I think it's like a pet. Okay, it's a pet. It's a goop pet that you can send around to do things and heal things. Okay, the next one here, which I think is the last one, is Zao Body Morph. So this is specific for the Zao. And its sphere effect is just change the body shape and rearrange internal organs for a Zao. So this is the mechanics to represent the weirdness behind Zao, in that they create their own body, create their own organs. Just some example effects and stuff like that is you could twist your body into a horrific form, break yourself down to fit through a small space, change fingers into tendrils to better climb or grab, faintly look through your fingers, so rather than looking through where your eye organs normally are placed, your visual sensory organs, we'll call them, you start to like look through your fingers or do something weird like that. Permanently split your body into 2 new independent Zao, retro your attribute points, expunge Zao cells to reduce hunger, change your body to adapt to a complex non-heat based environment. So it's the weirdness about Zao. They can reshape their body, and a lot of this stuff has a max endurance damage cost. So as you perform these weirdness, your maximum endurance is reduced until you have some quality downtime to rest. Okay, so that pretty much covers the arcane roles and the sort of different stuff that you got there, and hopefully they make your games a lot more fun. Cool. Take care.